Hello, everyone, and welcome to the As Seen on TV podcast for Pretty Little Liars Halloween episode. Yes, I'm taking that mask off because that's just no. All sorts of no. I tried. Halloween episode, season 4, episode 13. Lucky number 13, Halloween number. Grave New World. I'm your host, Dom. With me, I have my co-host, Omikins.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
So, Perfect.
Perfect.
So, yeah, first and foremost, the intro. What did you think of the intro this year? They changed it from the previous 2 Halloween intros.
I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. So, let's go a little bit before we get started in this episode. Let's talk about Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Since we actually did not have a podcast in the existence of when this started. What was your whole take on the Ezra being A? Like,
I knew it. I knew it. From the very beginning. Not from the very, very beginning, but like I knew like...
What was your biggest clue?
In the first season, he just happened to know a lot more than he should have, even though he was only talking to Arya.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really play off as if he knew a lot, but you could tell he knew.
Right.
I don't know.
How can he possibly be funding all this money if he's A?
His family. I mean, he said he had lost all his family ties, like they cut him off as far as the funding goes, but I think that was a lie. I think that was a lie. I think he still has all that money in his pocket, and he can do whatever he wants with it.
So you think his family might be in on this as well, or?
I don't think his family actually knows. He just has his own, like, funds set aside in a Swedish bank account. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's no way a teacher can afford this. Like,
exactly.
No way.
Exactly.
A's been up to some crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So let's get back to this Halloween episode. So they did a lot of build up to Ravenswood. This aired just before Ravenswood did, which is the new Pretty Little Liars spinoff, and we see right off the bat you have Caleb on the bus. He's heading down to Ravenswood to despite Hannah not what was it? He didn't want Hannah to go, and she went anyway.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so he chased her down. He went with her, and he falls asleep on the bus, and he wakes up to this girl Miranda sitting next to him, and they seem to have quite a bit in common. So do you think there's a possibility that Hannah and Caleb might drift away?
It's a very big possibility. I mean, it's obvious that Caleb has a huge part in Ravenswood. So he's going to obviously get closer to Miranda. And if Hannah's not in the picture, he's just going to float towards Miranda, naturally.
Yeah, there was this, like, really awkward moment that we actually discussed on the Ravenswood podcast where Hannah barely meeting this girl, Miranda. Caleb barely knows her, other than the fact that they're foster family raised, in common. They don't really know each other very well, and Hannah was so, like, quick to be like, hey, stay here in Ravenswood with Miranda, help her out, help her find her family. It seemed really kind of awkward to me. It's something that I think should have been set up a little better. Caleb should have gone to Ravenswood a lot sooner, and it should not have been done in one episode. That was my take on that.
Yeah. It just happened too quickly.
Yeah. So, we see she mentions the fact you have a car? What are you doing on a bus? What do you think was Caleb's whole reasoning for not taking a car?
I have no idea, because he could have been in Ravenswood quicker. Maybe it's because he was the Toby thing, but I mean, yeah, he could have been to Ravenswood quicker. He could have left when he wanted to. he could have, like, took Hannah out of there himself. This whole bus thing doesn't really add up for me, but I mean, if Miranda and Caleb kind of are connected through Ravenswood, it makes sense that the fates changed the way the things went, with Ravenswood being all supernatural and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, what about Mrs. Grunwald? She was very adamant about the girls leaving Ravenswood. Do you think it had something to do with Allie, or was it more the secrets of the town that we explored a little more in Ravenswood spinoff?
Both. It's possible. It's possible that it was both, because Ravenswood definitely has a lot of mystery to it. But then there's Allie, who was going to Mrs. Grunwald for support and help, and so there's that. Mrs. Grunwald is just being like a protective mother in a way, saying she needs to be running away. She needs to be on her own right now. You guys just coming in here is distracting. You're not helping at all.
Right. So what about the tunnels that were under the Mrs. Griswold or Grunwald was the Griswold. I'm already starting to think of Christmas, and I got the Griswold family vacation on my mind. Like Christmas vacation, it's almost time. We're sitting here talking about Halloween, and I already got Christmas on my mind. So the Grunwald, she was the same lady that lives with Miranda's uncle. Was that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the housekeeper.
Right. So why is there a mausoleum? The tunnels. There's a secret passage in the mausoleum where there's underground tunnels that connect into the house she's staying in. Like, she's the housekeeper. Why are there secret doors to a mausoleum and a whole tunnel system?
I guess the only explanation would be is that the time period it was built. I mean, I'm still like, why would you even keep the secret doors? Seriously. Catch up with the times, close that shit off. I mean, how dangerous can that be? I mean, you saw during the episode, there were rats down there.
Quite a bit of them, too.
Yeah, there was a big pile of rats. That would scare the crap out of me. I would want to close off every opening down to that tunnel from my house. But that's me.
Right. So, you see a scene in the tunnels where the windstorm starts blowing through, the girls all grab hands, the lights go out, and you clearly see, name, Arya. Yes, I got it on my own that time, see? You clearly see Arya grab Hannah's hand. And then all of a sudden, she's not holding Hannah's hand anymore. She's holding a statue. So what the hell happened? Like, how did they get separated in the first place?
I have no idea. Arya is so set on, saying she didn't release Hannah's hand at any point. So how did that statue slide its little stony hand in between there without her noticing? I have no idea. It's so creepy.
Yeah, definitely was. Ravenswood itself is really creepy, and I hope that they reflect on that a little bit more. If you guys have watched Ravenswood, make sure to check out our Ravenswood podcast, also featured on this channel. But I don't know, you feel the premiere of that was a little lackluster. I think it was good. It's got some potential, but it's the premiere. There's a lot of stuff to set up, and even having a link into the Pretty Little Liars, they just didn't have enough time to set up. This should have been something that was set up a while ago, but
yeah.
Definitely appreciate the effort that they went into to do a whole nother spin-off, and Ravenswood itself just being this creepy supernatural place where it kind of doesn't fit in the Pretty Little Liars universe, because they're more set in the real world, and this one is more set in the world of the supernatural. And this whole Ravenswood thing, the statue, that seems to be a supernatural occurrence. It almost to me seemed like Hannah either traveled back in time, or like to a different time period or something, or to an alternate basement, like a pathway that was set up exactly the same, because she's running through the tunnels, she's calling out for the girls' names, and they're not answering, they're not even in the tunnels. But then we cut back to the girls, and they're in the exact same tunnels that Hannah was just running around in. running by the same statues and everything. So I think there was a time-lapse point, because then you see Hannah, she goes off into this phone booth, and like it's an old-school payphone closed booth that even houses back in those days used to have in them, and guests would come in, and it'd be like a little private room for your phone calls and stuff. So I almost feel like she traveled back in time somewhere, and maybe those. You remember the 3 lights that Hannah saw coming around the phone booth and stuff? Do you think that may have had something to do with the time travel itself, or was it just some kind of illusion?
She was in a phone booth, and she time traveled. That sounds really familiar.
She was not in a TARDIS.
Okay. The lights. What was the question? Was it involved with the time travel? I don't know.
Do you think it did?
I honestly don't know.
Because then she picks up the phone, she's got the receiver, and then you start hearing some creepy music that sounds like it's being played through a record player or something. And
yes.
Like I didn't know what that was all about, you know.
No.
So, do you know what the song was that was playing on there?
I think there was a sheet of music on the piano that's nearby. It's I Didn't Raise My Boy to Be a Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the song.
So that's kind of fitting in with what we talked about during the Ravenswood podcast, where it's all something to do with Civil War era or Army, military, something along those lines. So there's definitely that they're foreshadowing that's going on in Ravenswood, which wasn't too difficult to miss, but I like the subtle things that they're throwing in, even in Pretty Little Liars, to throw off of it. So. Yep. So while Hannah's in there and the other girls are actually running around the house and stuff, you hear Allison distantly screaming out throughout the house, and she it's kind of revealed that it's a tape session that's Mrs. Grunwald. Mrs. Grunwald has with Allison. So do you think she was the one that played those tapes, like set the tape off and was kind of luring the girls to spook them a bit, or do you think those tapes were really stolen?
She did say that they were stolen, and it's it's very possible that he got his hands on them and decided that he wants to mess around with the girl's head some more, and that doesn't seem like it'd be out of this world at all. He sounds like something he would do. Right.
So, do you think just playing that was just to get the girls to start running around the house and different things, or do you think there was more of a purpose than that?
I think he was really trying to get them to split up, be scared. Obviously, well, some of them did. Obviously, Hannah was on her own. Spencer was on her own for a little bit, but it seemed like Emily and Arya stuck together for the most part.
Yeah. And then you have Caleb, who was trying to give advice to Miranda, and one of the statements that he made was he made the mistake of crashing in on his family like a cannonball, not like a wrecking ball, because wrecking balls are clearly better here. So if he crashed in like a wrecking ball, everything would have been fine. But he came through like a cannonball.
Yeah.
So do you think that their little conversation there was more proof of this potential growing love interest?
Definitely, and it's definitely sparking something. It's allowing Miranda to know that she has someone that she can be close with, that she can build a connection with. So yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So with Miranda, she was in the house. She was running around, like she was trying to find her way through. She's exploring the house, trying to find different things. And she was the one that stumbled upon Hannah. She let Hannah out of the phone booth. How do you think she didn't see any of the lights, or it looked like gas mask was peeking in through the phone booth at one point, Allison? How did all this go on without her seeing this? Or
I don't
do you
know.
think maybe it might even be that time travel stuff we were mentioning?
it did seem like it just cut and Miranda was there. So time travel, it does seem like a possible thing now because there is no way Miranda missed any of that. It was just so. I mean, a dark house with lights and people. Come on, you can't miss that. It's right there in front of your face. It was like 2-3 seconds after all that happened, and Miranda opened the door.
Yeah, it was really close. So that's why I mentioned it on the Ravenswood show, and all this stuff keeps adding up, and it just seems more and more like time travel. Which, if they're talking about Civil War era stuff, it just makes sense because the world is going back and forth between the Civil War and the current era. That's just the way it seems to me. So you have Spencer and Gas Mask. They kind of duke it out a little bit, and we see Gas Mask. His hand was slashed, and do you think the Gas Mask? Because we also saw the same guy was Luke from Ravenswood, wearing the same costume. Do you think it was possibly him? Do you think it was Ezra? Do you think it was another entity? Like, who could Gas Mask possibly have been in this situation?
I'm still pretty sure it was Ezra.
Why is that?
Just because of, like, you know, he's on the phone with Arya at the very beginning when they're walking into the party, and she's telling him where they are, and they finish the conversation. He walks around the corner. He's in that costume. He actually has the gas mask under his arm. He's there, and he's, like, playing it off like he's not. So, I mean, and then going back to episode 12, when we find out Ezra's in A's base, then it just kind of ties in that he would be Gas Mask.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We find out Allison's alive. Like, that was like the big reveal at the end of the thing. What was your feelings on that in general? Like, to me personally, they've been building up to this for so long now. It's been across multiple seasons. It feels like it's been 2 or 3 seasons now where they're like, is Allison alive? And
big surprise.
Then they reveal that she is. It didn't really do anything for me. I didn't think it was a good ending.
No.
You feel the same way?
Yes.
For those of you on the show listening, there's a lot of creaking going around, so I might be actually living in Ravenswood. However, you can't hear it because I keep muting it. So, see, there it is. So every time you hear Umi laughing, you guys don't hear all the creaking going on that she's laughing at. So I'll just leave it unmuted so you can hear all the creaking in its glory now. Because it's even more awkward when Umi starts laughing and there's no reason for her to be laughing.
It's very ghostly. It fits.
It kind of fits. Kind of fits this episode. So, which one do you think of the girls, the 4 girls? Do you think Allison fears the most?
Huh? Which one of the girls, or?
Yeah, because there's something going on. Like, there's some reason why she didn't come to them sooner. So she doesn't completely trust them.
I think she's still, like, on the Spencer. I'm not so sure about Spencer train, because Spencer is the one that would stand up against her. So it is possible that Spencer would tell the secrets.
See, because I'm thinking if Ezra is really A, then she feels like she can't trust Arya. Because if Ezra was also board shorts, then that's who Allison fears.
Yeah,
Allison is scared of board shorts. So if she's afraid of board shorts, then and Ezra turns out to be that, then I believe she would not be able to fully trust Arya. That's me. That's who I think she's the most worried about, and maybe why she did not confront the girls a lot sooner.
There's that, yeah.
So, we have Emily. She's kind of been named as the sporty of the group, and they called her the sporty one or something along the line. So if you're looking at these girls and you're taking them in context of the Spice Girls, and you have Emily as Sporty Spice, who are the rest of the girls? Which one is Baby Spice?
Hannah.
Hannah's Baby Spice?
Hannah's baby spice.
Totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
What about the other two?
Spencer is definitely posh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As far as Arya goes, I want to name her Scary Spice because she's gone through that whole like I'm got different color hair and all this crazy rebellious stuff.
Yeah.
But then that just leaves the other Spice Girl, and I don't think that really suits Allison very well.
Yeah.
But hey.
Hannah being baby Spice, I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
I could 100% see that. So, Hannah, she's a very trusting individual. Do you think this is going to be her biggest weakness?
I think it is one of her biggest weaknesses. Just allowing people into her heart, even after they do so much wrong to her, like Mona, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You think Mona's still working for A, or do you? We didn't see her at all this episode, but
no.
Do you think she's still in courts with A, or do you think she has her own agenda?
I think now she has her own agenda. I think A's actually crossed her and made her seem like the bad person, so she's trying to redeem herself by getting the girls back on her side.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. So, at the end of all this, we have the girls finally decide to leave. They're gonna go home, and it was Spencer's vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Spencer, she has a flat tire, and Ezra kind of pulls up in the nick of time, riding in on the white horse, and offers the girls a ride home. So, Ezra and Arya kind of agreed that they didn't want to be seen together in public anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Arya kind of even has a new boyfriend. So, do you think Jake may be something more to this story? Or, Arya's boyfriend Jake? Or do you think he may be a pawn in A's plan?
A has a lot of pawns, and it is very possible since Arya took a step back from Ezra that Ezra kind of, being A, if he's A, said, you know what, she needs someone to keep an eye on her to get information, and so maybe he hired Jake.
I could 100% see that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that would definitely be an A-like maneuver to keep tabs, get somebody else in. So, Ezra really, when he shows up with, he comes back and he's got the phone, and he only reveals his left hand to the girls, which his right hand was the one that Spencer had slashed with the hedge clippers or whatever. His right hand stays in his pocket all the time. Do you think that that they're misleading us in trying to keep his hand visible, like not visible, to think that something that think his hand is cut and that he's A, because we've already saw the reveal last episode. But
yeah.
Do you think they're gonna try to throw a twist into this and it's just a coincidence his hand stayed in his pocket the whole time?
Who knows? I mean, that show is all about the twists. It's all about the twists. So I mean, to mislead us and make us think that he is the big bad, then it makes sense that the writers would do that to us, the viewers, because it just seems like an asshole thing to do.
Yeah. So, you have Ezra multiple times during the episode. He's checking up on Arya. He calls her at the beginning of the episode. He shows up to pick them up. He comes back with Arya's phone and stuff like that. He was already in Ravenswood. We already knew this.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think he was lying to Arya?
He's behind something. He's got something up his sleeve. If he's not A, maybe he is some sort of undercover FBI agent or something. Who knows?
Undercover FBI agent with one of his students. That just, I don't know.
Hey, that's really undercover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Check out what's under the hood. So next episode is not airing until January 7th. So we still have a little. Rachel is in chat right now, and she states that I want that job, which not the case. I'm not a big Arya fan. Why did I say Arya? Titus.
I don't know. Titus.
Titus, same thing. Yeah, so January 7th, that's going to be when the next episode airs. We have a lot of time in between there to continue our speculations and give us a little break between all these shows to hopefully catch up to different things. But the next episode is Who's in the Box?
Who's in the box?
Who's in the box? So the big question to me is, it seems the way the title is speaking, Allison was thought to be dead. They buried her. They had a body. Who is in the coffin, aka the box? Who do you think this could possibly be?
Well, I honestly, I mean, I've heard things because people have read the books.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say anything because who knows? They might follow that part of the book, even though they've strayed off in certain areas. So it'd be a spoiler at this point.
So if I was to tell you that a spoiler, spoiler, maybe that Allison has a twin sister. Would you consider that a spoiler?
Of course.
Yeah, because more or less that's what happened in the book, from what I gather.
More or less.
Yes, she had a mentally challenged sibling that the parents were ashamed of, and stuck her in like some mental hospital or something along those lines. And then her and Allison switched place at some point, and she was the one that actually died, and not Allison. The books are, from what I've tried to I haven't actually read the books themselves, but the summaries and stuff, when I was trying to get a little insight, this was back in season 1, I was looking at this to try to find out who A was, because I was very impatient, because it takes them forever to get around to anything in this show. But I wanted to know if Mona was really A, or if she was working for somebody, and I tried to spoil it. I went ahead and looked, and then I found all this stuff about Allison, and she was still alive, so I knew Allison was coming at some point. It was just a matter of time. But this seems like a crazy, ridiculous twist, because they have not even mentioned anything along the lines or even hinted at the fact on the show. Like, I can understand if the parents are ashamed of it, they've put it out of sight, out of mind. But for Allison to have a twin sister, it seems like there would have been a hint at some point leading into this. So it didn't look like they were just making things up as they went along. But I guess they have the books to piggyback on that and be like, no, we weren't. See, here it is in the book. So I don't know. What's your take on that?
No, I agree that Allison must have had a sibling, because they did end up doing a DNA test and everything on body, and it matched the De Laurentiis, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any final words?
I don't know why we have to wait so freaking long. This is bullcrap.
Yeah.
How many months has it been since episode 12? If we're not counting 13, how many
I think it's been about
months
4 months now.
Yeah.
Or no, it'll be 4 months. January will be the 4 month mark. I think there's 4 months between that, not counting the Halloween episode, between January 7th and the last episode that aired. So I think there's a 4 month gap there. And then there's only like a 2 month gap, because this isn't even the end of the season. This is the mid-season break.
Mid-season break.
Yeah. So then when the show comes back, it kicks in the final 11 episodes for the season. And then it goes on a like 2 month break, and then the next season starts. Why do you have the biggest gap between your mid-season? Like, this is the only show that I've seen that does this, and it just blows my mind. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
You typically would want the bigger gap between
the seasons.
The seasons, because actually, I take that back. Warehouse 13 does the exact same thing, and I had completely forgot the show was even on at one point, because there was such a long time between the gaps in the episodes. I personally don't like it. It's been working for them, I guess, so maybe they're not thinking of it in terms of a season and they're looking at it in 2 half seasons, or I don't know what they're, but yeah.
I have no idea.
So
I just don't like waiting like that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So Umi, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
You can follow us on youtube.com/ASOTV podcast for some of your favorite TV show.
TV shows?
Yes. I was thinking in my head, was that the right URL? It was.
It was.
It was. So go there. Follow us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll get the outro right at some point in time. I doubt it.
Maybe.